Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Portal Podcast. I'm honored to be sitting across from Abraham Carranza. He's impacted thousands of lives, including myself. And today, we're not going to just have a conversation, we're going to be entering a portal. So, Ms. Carranza, I wanted to ask you before the man I'm sitting in front of right now, before the field, who were you? And how did you become that man? And when did the field reveal itself to you?
And it's very, I like the questions, the way you're putting them. And when we talk about the field or we talk about the portal, we're talking about this energy and this energy that we call consciousness or energy that sees. We want to go into more technical terms. This field or consciousness, this portal, really, it's for me was an awakening as a child. 2 years, 7 months, I became consciously aware that I was spirit in a body. And I never forget the moment because I was revealed information, I was revealed images, different times, different timelines, different bodies, as I was becoming aware, coming into consciousness, as I was being very well, almost like I was being electrocuted. I was downloading this information, but it was this field of energy coming into, you could say, the frontal lobe. And I started to download images, visions, different people, different places in reality, and I was able to see almost like little sections of images of different lifetimes and important emotional impacts to those journeys. I received that all in a download at 2 years, 7 months, and I remember looking down and I said, I'm in a little body. And that's where we go back to what is consciousness? Who are we? What are we? Who am I? What am I? All sprung at that moment, and at the same time, a knowing who I was because I had memory of doing this other times, and also the journey being that I remember moving into this timeline and being aware that we were moving into space again. I was coming in with other energies, other spirits, and I remember we were communicating with each other, not verbally, but that we were going to be able to experience life again, and it was going to be a joy and a wonderful experience, but as well as the purpose why I was here, and others were coming in, and we all had a purpose. But at that moment, that's all I had. So then I awakened at that 2 years, 7 months with these bits of information and with this awareness, a knowing. There's one thing to say you know about something, but to experience something is totally different. So I had the inner experience of knowing. And that inner experience caused me to question everything in life and do all the research that I've been doing my whole lifetime. That awareness caused me to do all the researching, investigations, and studying of consciousness and who we are and what we're here for. And that led me into the journey called life.
Yeah.
And I can say it in a different manner as well. I also entered into the physical importance of who we are. I was lost in the journey, many times lost in the journey, because we come into a physical reality and we almost lose touch of that divinity. We lose touch of that awareness. So it's almost like we're traveling through our experiences, and at the same time we're aware and we're not aware, or we become more aware. Maybe we get a little sense that we were meant for more, and then we go back into what I call data, which means we go back into our environmental conditioning, environmental way of thinking, and we get lost again. But then somehow we get pulled back. And so this journey for me has been a consistent journey of awakening, and then moving into the journey we're in, and then becoming more aware. But as I was doing this research and study, I started to become less of a routine, less of a programs, less of habitual behaviors, less of the way I was born. And as it's been a journey of rewriting myself over and over and over again through the process. So the man I am today and the man I was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, months ago, has always been a different man. So
It's incredible.
as I continue to develop myself,
Yes.
It's almost like you're deprogramming as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. You mentioned the word data. Could you please elaborate on that for the people who may not even know what that even means? What is data?
Yeah, very, very important question. As we move into a body, and I'm going to give you a couple of different ways of seeing this. I've been working with the neuroscientists as well, 50 plus years in neuroscience and neurofeedback, studying the brain. We've been working on developing this model, and he's got a model called the ISIS model, Dr. Ricardo Rojas, and we've been working on getting a better understanding of consciousness. So I'm going to start off with consciousness, the C. So here we have consciousness, this ever-present energy that's all-knowing, and it's ever-present, never created, never destroyed, just is this energy. Consciousness, the C. As we move away from consciousness, the C, awareness drops into consciousness, the wave. And as consciousness, the wave is reducing down to move into a body, it's reducing down, and it begins to step into a quantum field of information. And as it's organizing that information, it begins to become bilocal, and then it becomes agency of the mind, agent of the mind, chattering mind, and then we're at the brain level. And then it interfaces. It enters the face, and it enters the face. It is viewing the world from its awareness of what it came into. So now we can take consciousness moving all the way down to the local state, to where we become local of the year, the month, the family that we moved into, the body that we moved into. We've become local of space now. But as this localization of space had to gather the data that it moved into. So now when I talk about data, the data is the information you moved into at a quantum field and a local field level, and you became bilocal aware. This bilocal awareness allows you to view the world from your state, from your awareness, from that frequency, from that body, position in time, as well as giving life to the body and organizing the data and the DNA to grow this body.
Wow.
So I gave you quite a bit all in
Yes,
one
of
short
course.
time, but spirit is literally giving life to the data, breathes life into the data, and it grows that little child all the way till it leaves this planet, right? But it leaves the body. So the spirit never dies, the body does. The body is born and the body passes away. But the energy that moved into it was always ever present. But it goes through a transfer and change from moving into an awareness of a physical body, moving through time, moving through its awareness, through its data that it used, the environment that it used, and the body as well. And so we're literally working through ideas all the time. And I always look at it in one manner. We science, or you could take even theology as well, always go back to one source. This energy, there's a live energy that is quickening us, is awakening us. So in between the environment that we move into, the information we move into, there's always a higher source that's touching you and making you more aware. Then you're more than just your body. You're more than just your age or your name. You're more than just a name. How many times have they called you Raphael until you turned around? You're being programmed with that data.
Since birth.
Since birth. So we're being inundated with data, but there is a spiritual energy that is always going beyond its own data to awaken you and say, you're more than just a body. You're more than just a name. We were meant for more.
Yes.
I desire to have more. So this data, in respect, it gives us a lot of value because it allows us to be present in the day and the era we came in. But it was really never meant to control us. That's the thing that we've got to get a better understanding on, and that's what we do.
And I just want to slow it down for a second for those who are just now getting into this and maybe feeling what this message is truly entailing. What can you describe the field? Because when people think of the field, they're probably like, what is that?
Yeah.
What is it? What is this infinite space that he's talking about? What is consciousness? What exactly is the field?
Everyone has their own interpretations, but this field is an energy that it is alive with information. It is alive. And we tap into this field. And we tap into that field by breath alone. One of the aspects, just the breath itself brings you, it awakens you, brings you to life. If the breath was missing, you would no longer be aware of your space in the field. If we were to close your mouth and nose for 5 minutes, you would no longer be aware of this space.
You'd pass out
in the field, right?
Yeah.
So you would no longer be locally aware, local awareness.
Mm.
You would have more than a local awareness. The average individual just has a local awareness because they're normally only looking through their eyes, through their senses, through the ears. But going beyond the local, it'd be like tuning in to a higher frequencies that allows you to have access to more information, right? So earlier we're talking about awareness as it's dropping down to becoming local. If we're only local from the senses, we're missing millions of bits of information that are still floating around us, but we're not aware of them.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that causes us to be so local are the senses. And one of the things that causes you to be bilocal or even a quantum locality is going beyond your senses. So this is where I go to genius mode, or we go to high power performance mode. And that's just normally it's through desire, something that really propels you to go beyond what you know.
Wow.
So this field is literally interacting with the interfacer, the person that enters a phase.
Yeah.
If you follow me now.
Yes.
So the person that enters a phase is literally controlling how much information they're able to tune into according to the amount of desire they have, according to the thing that is propelling them or urging them towards a desire. So if an individual is getting urged to generate income, if his awareness only goes to his chattering mind, which has already been programmed,
yes,
he uses those ideas to move out into the world. If his desire is beyond what he knows, he has to bypass the chattering mind, and he's got to go to the agency or a bilocal state. This awareness, where I'm going with, is when you've got to go beyond what you know, this taps into a higher part of the field. So as you move into higher frequencies of the field, you can tap into more information beyond what you know. And that's always been the key to life, is going beyond what you know so that you can tap into an infinite field of consciousness and really figure out what you really desire. Because if we're only becoming aware of what we've interfaced, and our desire is only what we see, hear, taste, touch, and smell, we keep reproducing the same results.
yes,
So here comes local awareness, desiring to go beyond its locality in space and time. And culture has given us the opportunity to mix races, mix religions, mix information. The internet has allowed us to expand our awareness from a local state to continents, to cities, to global. That hyperlink allows you to go beyond what you know and your comfort. So it broadens your awareness,
yes,
and it causes you to, again, desire something beyond what you know. And the key to life that I've seen over and over and over again, it keeps coming back to me, is always going beyond the senses, because the senses are grounding you with the current environment.
Could you elaborate on that?
Sure. I can give you a story of mine, and I use it quite often because that story reflects so much of the beginning part of this awareness, of my awareness. And it started with money.
Okay.
And it started with moving out of mom and dad's house and working towards creating my own reality. And a lot of you are going to be able to reflect back on this, because the only time we're normally becoming present is whenever we're having to create our own reality.
Yes.
So here's time for my desire. I'm a young man. I'm wanting to move out of mom and dad's house, and I want my own responsibility. I want to create my own life. I'm ready to get out there. And here comes persuasion. Persuasion is very first thing is, how am I going to survive? So immediately our awareness goes back to our root energy, which is going to be survival. How do we survive? It's my time. It's my turn. I'm no longer being taken care of from my family. So it's my turn to earn. It's my turn to create.
Yes.
So immediately I go back to the image making processes that I was given as a child. And my father was trying to help me. But in one manner, the trying to help me also reversed engineered what I did. So he would always tell me, if you want to have a good life, you need to be educated. And if you don't like education, you're going to have to wear the boots of a laborer. And so he repeated that over and over and over, as far as I can remember. And so that was being put into my subconscious mind. So 0 to 7 are the most impactful.
Yes.
And here, my 0 to 7 as well, my environment was an environment of close to very much poverty. And when I say we all have different forms of poverty according to the way we were born, but we were always barely making it. I remember always the family barely making it. I remember the refrigerator not being much food in the refrigerator, or not being enough, and there always being arguments. So here as it's my turn to move into reality, I go back to the image making processes. And then if y'all think about it, we all go back to the image making process. And if we keep using our images, we create more of somebody else's reality.
Yes.
Because it was not ours. Right? So if everybody in the world is using the image making process, and that's what we do, everybody goes back to their images, but the better you get understanding, they're not yours. It was their environment that you moved into. So here it's time for me to move out in the world, and I really didn't like college at that time, and I didn't like the aspect of going to college. And I want to get out and create my own world. And so here comes money. And here comes earning it and creating my destiny. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm going to do exactly, but I know I want to get out of the house. So I'll go back to the images that I used before. And then I go back to the images of, well, do I go to college, or do I start moving out and just create my own reality to go get a job? And I remember going and looking for a job that I would have to wear boots. Literally.
Just like your father said.
Just like he told me.
Wow.
So, and I remember buying my first pair of boots, steel toe boots. And I remember putting them on. I remember him telling me, if you don't want to get an education, you have to wear the boots of a laborer. And I remember putting them on, thinking exactly that when he was telling me.
Wow.
And unconsciously, I was going through the program.
Yes.
So here I'm going through data, working with the field. Now get this. So the field was always working for me. And the field, we're talking about this field of energy, this field of consciousness, and this ever-presence of consciousness. But how sometimes we may use it, how could I say it? Small ideas, small results. Right? So I was using this field, omnipresence of the field, but here I'm tapping into it to put some boots on. But it worked perfectly for me. And it was 1,444 days later, on the dot. I'm upset with the world. I don't like what I'm seeing. I'm sick and tired of being tired, sick and tired of earning the same amount of money, working long hours. And here I go back to a recognition. This is where I say Spirit is always working to bring us more light. And I was working as a tireman. I went to go find the work as a tireman, and I found the job, and I went and experienced it with precision, perfection. And every image I was holding about myself, I was able to express it and find it. I was the best tireman that I've ever seen. Never ever seen anybody do it like I've done it, and at the speed or the rate. But that's not what I wanted. But those are the images I was holding.
Yeah.
So here we're talking about the field, we're talking about data, and then we're talking about consciousness, then we're talking about a perception, and then we're talking about programming and environmental programming. All of this is happening just like that in milliseconds. When we're not aware, we're traveling through those ideas, and the field is working perfectly for us. Or if you want to call it, God is working perfectly for us. There is a higher consciousness, and it is tuning into what we think about.
Every millisecond.
Every millisecond. And it's working to unify us with the way we image make. And here I am experiencing this reality, and I'm sick and tired of it.
Mhm.
But who was creating it?
You.
I was the whole time.
Yeah.
And this goes where this transformation, or I like the way you put it, the portal,
Yeah.
is happening for you. Life is not happening to you, it's happening for us. And that was just a little illustration of how we are bilocal, and we're also getting feedback from it. The feedback is the results that we have in life. So I was at a time that I didn't like those results, but the feedback was telling me it was perfect for the image I was using.
Wow. I love that. So powerful. So, Mr. Carranza, for those watching out there who maybe have a better understanding of the field and data, what would be the key to attaining their heart's desires? Because everybody, has a desire in their heart that they may want, but they can't seem to achieve it. They can't seem to reach that level of belief or level of thought. What would you say is the key to achieve those desires?
For me, the key is, and I go straight to it, the key is spiritual awareness. You really get an understanding that you are a spiritual being experiencing a physical reality. We've got to have things correct from go. And if we don't have things correct from go, we're always seeking something outside of us to change us. We're always also seeing that we cannot change things outside of us because we started off from the data. And these are some of the things that we've been working on working with individuals, really teach them that you are a spiritual being experiencing a physical reality, not the other way around. We are not a physical being experiencing a spiritual reality. No, we are spiritual beings experiencing a physical reality. And because we're a spiritual being, that means we start off at 0. 0 point.
0 point.
Right? So going back home, we must go back through 0 to be full again, to be one again. When we can let go of all the ones of data, all the ones and twos and threes that create algorithms, they do. Everything after 0 pronounces itself, expresses itself. So here I go into having the order correct. Spiritual being experience a physical reality, so we can couple correctly. When we're coupled backwards, we think we're the data, and the data begins to think. The data talks. The data tells us what to do.
The data creates.
The data creates. And that's what I was doing, living the life of the data. And we need to move that back around to spirit first, data second. And we can move that back around to spirit first, data second. Now we can become an observer, observing data.
Yeah.
When we can become a conscious being observing data, not as it's me, but as it is data that I am streaming, then I can control time.
It's incredible.
Because we use the images to create time.
Okay.
The other way around, the data, which is already images that are fixed in our mind, control the time. And then we see ourselves a victim of something always in movement. Right?
Yes.
And if the data is always ahead of us, we're controlled by time.
So speaking of control, obviously there's a lot of people that feel like they're a victim of life, and they may be a victim of self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say is the best thing that they can do to fully step out of that victim mentality, that victim identity?
Mm-hmm. Very first thing is becoming aware and studying, researching this information, and really going into it to change yourself, really going into it to understand yourself. Everyone's always said it. All the greatest speakers, all the greatest people that have had big impacts around the world, go inside. Know thyself. And that goes back to 0, knowing that we're a spiritual being and that we can create anything we want. And if we can stay there, we can focus on what is it that I want to see instead of what is it that I have. What is it that I would like to create with where I'm at, with what we have? Not judging it as it's something that's controlling me, but I have the ability to go beyond all conditions and circumstances with my imagination.
Mm.
And the imagination is the greatest nation. It allows us access to this universal field of consciousness, this infinite presence. And when we look at every man that has gone beyond the senses, they call him a genius. Because he was going beyond all the interest of everyone that was thinking at that time.
Mm.
He was going beyond what everyone else was seeing, hearing, taste, touch, smell. His desire went beyond them, and because it went beyond that awareness, he was entangling with this infinite field of consciousness, which allowed access for him or her to reduce down something that's never been seen before. So here I'm giving a lot of people are going to have to go back and rewind this over and over and over again so that they can see themselves in what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you have to see is something that's invisible.
Yes. Mr. Carranza, I want to stop you right there. Can you please explain the story of the first chair ever made?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great illustration. Let's go back in time and consciousness, and let's go back to the individual that was laying on the ground. And maybe he was laying on the ground, and maybe he had ants crawling on him. He's tired of getting bit. Maybe he's laying on the sand and he's tired of the heat. Maybe he's laying in the sun, he's tired of the sun, or he's laying close to the water, and he's starting to become irritated of not being in control of the environment. He's starting to become aware. Irritation causes awareness. Awareness causes more irritation.
Yes.
So here comes the dualistic consciousness, bringing feedback from the local to a non-local state. So he's becoming local, feeling the water, becoming aware that I'm more than the water, becoming aware of the ants or the bugs crawling over him. He's seeing them. He's becoming bi-local, non-local, saying, I'm more than this. I should be able to go beyond this. So this feedback back and forth is allowing him exchange of information from a local to a non-local higher source of consciousness. Then he begins to think, well, what would it be if I could sit down on something? What would it be if I could be suspended and not to be touched by the sand or the dirt or anything that is bothering me, whatever it is? And he begins to think, well, how nice would it feel? Now he's going into the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
How would it feel to be suspended? And as he begins to think of the suspension, he begins to get ideas, and he's getting ideas, and he starts to look around at his environment, and he begins to see maybe branches that are broken, or maybe seeing a tree that he would cut. And he begins to download these ideas, and he says, maybe I'll grab that tree, maybe I'll grab that trunk, maybe I'll grab this, and I'll put this together, and I'll put 4 legs, and then I'll set something on top. Maybe I'll grab leaves, and then I'll intertwine them, and then as he keeps thinking and drawing upon this field of consciousness, he gets more desire, he gets more impulse, and he takes more action. Before you know it, he's sitting. And maybe he says, what would it be like to lean back? What would that feel? What would it feel? What if I could lean back on something? And here we go again. The creative process is taking action. So now he's getting feedback from the field,
Yes,
and the local. So now he's working local, non-local, bi-local awareness. And he's getting feedback from the environment and also from the infinite field of consciousness, allowing him access to go back and forth to assemble an image. To the point to where he's sitting now and he's experiencing on the chair. Maybe to that point, now he's saying, what would it be to have a roof? Now he's sitting there and he's getting rained on, and he's saying, well, what would it be to be covered? What would it feel like to have cover? What would it feel like to separate myself from nature, from the sand? And maybe all these ideas, again, is going beyond conditions, circumstances, because he wants to create and evolve his own environment.
Mm-hmm.
So here we come into consciousness. And what is that to each and every one of us? Well, consciousness is the thing that has developed its own environment. We are the only ones, as far as we know it to today, that society or government has said or shown that has gone beyond our environment and created our own. Nature lives in its own environment, but not us, because we have this ability to tap into this field beyond what they can.
It's incredible. For those who don't understand bi-local or local awareness, could you please go deeper into that?
Sure. This local, bi-local awareness is how we entangle with the infinite field. And this is where I was giving you guys earlier, was go beyond the senses. When you can go beyond the senses and think. Now thinking is not the average way of thinking when you're playing with data. When you're playing with the data, you're not thinking. You're just retrieving somebody else's results, somebody else's awareness, somebody else's impulses. That's not thinking. All you're doing is repeating somebody else's past or reorganizing old patternings. Thinking is imagining. Thinking is going beyond what you hear, see, taste, touch, smell. Imagining is building an image that you haven't experienced to go experience that. That's true thinking. You're going to organize a plan to a definite end. Something it's never been done before. So when we can go beyond the data, now we're truly thinking. Now we're creating. Because if we're not going beyond the data and we're not imagining our own reality, guess what you're going to do for the remainder of your time here?
Stick to what you know.
You're going to stick to what you know, but you never created anything new. You follow me?
Yes.
So you could go from 0 to 100, or let's say 120 if you get to 120. And if you never went beyond your data, if you never went beyond your environment, what did you do for 100 years or 120 years? Reorganize somebody else's past. That's not thinking. You see?
Yes.
This is why it's so important to understand thinking is imagining. And imagining is to go beyond what you know and go beyond the senses. Otherwise, you're just reorganizing somebody else's past. And I've watched this over and over and over again. I see it so many times. People are not aware. How many times, I'll give you an illustration. How many times have you seen somebody take a vacation that somebody else took?
Over and over again.
How many times have you seen the same family take the same vacations to the same places?
Over and over.
You think that's an accident?
No.
What are they doing?
Reacting to what they've already seen, what they already know.
Yep. All they're doing is rearranging what the data they know. And when they hear the neighbor or they hear their cousin or they hear somebody and they're more or less on the same frequency, same vibration, same environment, they're more or less going to take on the ideas from the environment or what they think is possible for them. They may stretch a little. They may go a little bit further because the desire spirit always wants more. But normally they're just rearranging the same thoughts.
Wow. I want to slow down for a moment because what you just said, I really don't want this to fly by the audience. You said the people that they were around. Could you please go into deeper detail on how your environment affects the individual mind, the people, the environment, the places?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's very fundamental. You understand that the environment you moved into, it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, you could be if you're raised in poverty, chances are you'll stay in poverty, maybe move a little bit out. If you're mid-range, normally we're working 10 to 15, 20%. We get out of that nature, but we're still more or less using that nature to create our reality. So the environment plays a very fundamental way of our organizing information, because every time you think, you go back to what you know. Every time you think of money, you go back to what you know. Every time you think of a wife or a husband, you go back to what you know.
Yes.
So you're literally trying to travel into a future, create something new, but you're literally going back to the same information from where you came from to do something different. So you're just reorganizing past patternings or the family's patternings or their ideas or Uncle Bob's or Jim's or whoever it is, wherever you came into, we organize information to see ourselves outside of ourselves. And if we're continually moving our own information, you're not creating something new. So many people didn't know they were not supposed to replicate the day. They were not supposed to replicate the year. They were never supposed to replicate the decade. And if they are, they're lost in the data. A lot of people didn't know that. And I love what you're doing, because you're going to be able to teach this to other people and show them that when you're not aware, you're living the data's reality, not your own. And I've worked with people that are been in their 80s, 90s, that are barely learning this, but they still took it and did something else with it. So I've worked with people that are you would think that they're past their time. There is no such thing as past your time. All they went past is their images. Go past the image, you can create anything you want. There's no such thing as you're too old. No such thing. Data's old. Imagination is ever present.
Yes. Something powerful I want to reiterate. Whenever you said you're resonating, I would love for you to explain to everyone the power of the heart and mind, and how every second you're resonating with whatever that image or emotion is, and how it's formulating their own reality, whether they know it or not.
Yeah. The environment is feedback. our environment is, I said it earlier, gave the illustration earlier of experiencing the tire man. I experienced the mechanic. I experienced a foreman. I experienced a drilling rig. Everyone was an idea that I accepted from someone else, and I went and moved into that reality, experiencing it. The difference is so many people stay within that, and they're not able to get out of it because they're afraid of change. They're afraid of changing themselves. They're afraid of moving out of what they know, right? And so when we're afraid of moving out of those sequences of what we've already experienced, we normally stay within the realms of that possibility, and not too much more. A couple of key pointers that I would give is, what is it that you really want? Could you really sit down and really think, what do I really want, and what do I want to experience the rest of my life? Could you really do that? Could you give yourself the freedom to ask yourself, if I could live any way that I want, what would it be like?
Yeah.
Because that's going back to zero.
Yes, it is.
So that allows you to go back to a 0 point, neutral point of existence. If I could experience the life that I desire, what would it look like? What would I be doing? And then I go into, what is my contribution to the world?
Wow. And it's real unfortunate because there's a lot of people that never even ask themselves that question, or never actually sit down to write what they want to experience, because anything is possible. But to the person who's surviving, they believe what they see is all that there is. But if they were to genuinely sit down and think, resonate, hold the image in their mind and heart, and they can create that and follow in the inspired action.
Yep. And that goes back to, you said it earlier, when you're always thinking and you're surviving. So that means immediately we put the word think and survival, and they're in tune, right? So you're only thinking of surviving, you're only going to get the ideas of how to survive, and you're going to go back to what you know.
And you're only going to get results that come with surviving, which
According
is lack.
To how you were taught how to survive.
Yes.
So that goes back to that environment. I remember, I will give you a couple of different scenarios walking around, and I lived in some rough areas growing up, and I remember walking the streets, and as I'm walking the streets as a child, young man, we're talking about 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, playing in the streets. But this was a bad neighborhood. I'm working in the streets, and there's gunshots, and there's drive-bys next door, and there's heroin on the ground. There's shots. That's the environment I was seeing, and here I'm seeing this environment, and I'm getting the guys calling me over to come and groom me, and here there's this little child. He's being sprung to this reality, and then he's also seeing the poverty, and then he's also seeing how people are barely making it. And he's wondering to himself, where's the truth? Where's the truth? Why are we living the way we're living? Why are we in this environment living? And I'm seeing this environment. And then here I have this other awareness of other environments. And then we travel through town, and I can see different neighborhoods, and I can see their truth. So what is the truth then? Why is it we have experience different environments, different districts, and each and every one can live within the confines of that experience and be okay, right? So here I'm looking at the truth of this environment, and nobody can get out of it. And then as I ask the environment, as I ask people, well, you could go earn more money, and they would always give me their truth. And I would give them ideas of, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? And they would always give me a reason why it couldn't be done.
Wow.
And here, every time I'm hearing every reason why it can't be done, I was actually hearing why they can't do it. I was hearing the limited beliefs every time. And they're not even aware what they're doing is telling me the beliefs that they grew up in. They're telling me maybe their uncle's beliefs, their aunt's beliefs, their brother's beliefs, maybe their father's beliefs, maybe their mother's beliefs, and they're not even aware that they're just repeating the same beliefs that held their family there.
Wow. It's like a generational curse almost.
It's generational information. It is district information. If right now we could travel this city where we're at right now,
Mm-hmm.
and we could literally go through districts, and we could literally travel. As you travel in, you'll be able to see, if you go to lower neighborhoods, you'll be able to see the decrease in the environment. You'll also see the neighborhood and the way it is. You can even see where the homes are falling apart. It's lack of awareness.
Wow.
Lack of awareness, lack of desire, lack of awareness, lack of belief. And I would walk these streets wondering, well, where's the truth? And here all this research took me to the truth is what you accepted. And that was it. I had to face it myself. I had to face the truth I was born in. Is this all that's for me? Is this all I'm going to be? And I knew that truth was not accurate. That was the difference, because I could go back to that young child that was 2 years, 7 months, knowing that I was spiritual being experiencing physical reality. So I knew that this was not the truth. I was spirit. And by going back to that awareness allowed me to have access to go around the data, push through the data, move the data. No, I'm not that. No, I will not let that idea control my behavior. No, I do not want to live like that. So I have had to go through several, you could call that reprogramming or changing the virus code, whatever you want to call it. But several times I've had to work at really changing me because I didn't want to be that person anymore.
That's powerful. So, Mr. Carranza, what would you say to the person watching right now that possibly feels like the position that you're in, they're in that position right now? They feel stuck. They're like, is this really all that's for me?
Yeah.
They feel like they're being called to more, but they don't know how to achieve that, to see that. What would you say to that person?
Find people that want to help you grow. Find people that are going in the direction that you want to go. Everything goes back to environment. I can go back to the environment where I lived in. I did that. Actually, it was some months ago. I was looking at some sites and locations, and I lost track where I was at. I wound up in the city, and I drove to that city, and I drove to the neighborhood I was in. The neighborhood's the same.
Wow.
The school was the same, and I see the poverty. There's nothing wrong with the people. It's the information they've taken on. And this is where I go with is find an environment that is conducive to growth. Find an environment. Find people that want to help people grow. Find an environment where people are growing and they're showing the growth. If you're listening to your neighbor, you're going to go in the wrong direction because they're already stuck. Whatever neighborhood you're in.
Yes.
Whether it is low, mid, low, high, mid, low, mid, high, it doesn't matter. Every neighborhood has its practice, has its habits, has its behaviors, and you're going to also notice they have their income brackets too. There are no accidents in what I'm teaching you. Everything is uniformed according to awareness. So find the people that are getting the results that you want, and then re-educate yourself. Go and do what you don't want to do, because that's what I've had to do over and over and over and over again. The common denominator of success is doing the things that you don't want to do, because if you're not programmed to do it, you won't have it and you won't want to do it. Literally.
It's like stepping out of that current identity that's holding you back, stepping into okay, this is the version of me that can achieve this, that can do this.
And what habits do I have to incorporate to become that person?
Exactly.
Because, and this is one thing I run into all the time. People want the result. They don't want to change themselves.
Wow. Say it again.
People want results. They don't want to change themselves. They don't have to look in the mirror and change themselves. The beautiful part of what you're doing right now, and I want everybody to listen to this, and as Vicky said it, she's in one of my classes, very well said. You know, there's come a point when you're done with this podcast, you will no longer be a victim. The victim has been revealed. Consciousness has been revealed. You will no longer be a victim once you're done with this podcast or the YouTube, whatever you put this on. Whether you're streaming it, Facebooking it, you will know you're finished with this. You will no longer be a victim because you have become aware. Now you will either be a responsible creative force that changes it, or you're going to be an accomplice.
Go deeper on the accomplice part.
Once you know what you didn't know, now you are going to observably watch yourself taking the actions you know that you should not be doing anymore. You are no longer a victim of what happened to you, where you landed, who you became. You're no longer a victim of the environment that wrote you. You are no longer a victim because you are now aware that you can take control and you can take responsibility for the data that you've had, the data you moved into, and then relocate yourself to new data go to a better environment, go find books that are going to change you. And then go and tune into the book that's going to move you, and then take the action, and it will change you. You'll no longer be a victim, because now you'll be an accomplice. Once you know, you cannot know. So you'll either give in and be accomplished to the data, or you're going to change.
Wow. That's truly powerful. That right there is going to change someone's life, just hearing that.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. Ms. Carranza, I'd love for you to explain more on, you say source, consciousness, spirit, God. I would love for you to go into each category, kind of just to explain to everybody who maybe believes in God, or who believes in spirit, or doesn't believe anything at all. How would you explain that sphere of information?
Yep. I'll do it one way, physically. And anybody that wants to know this will have to do it on their own. They will have to feel it for themselves. Take in the breath of life. Breathe with your nose. And everybody that's going to be watching this in the future, breathe with your nose. Because what we're going to do is reverse engineer this connection, and you will not be able to deny it once you felt it. And not only that, be aware that you have control over it, with it, because it's you. It's one with you, always has been. You want to call it God, has always been with you. Creative force has always been working to and through you, has always been with you. But it's working with your images. Now, let's take the breath in, and as we inhale, we take this breath of life. And as we breathe in, you're breathing in life. As you breathe out, you're releasing that energy. But now as you breathe in, if you were to begin to bring in the word love, as you breathe in, and just hold the word love, release the word love, you're going to begin to feel a change in your body. And as you bring in the word love and gratitude now, love and gratitude, and say the word gratitude, you can see it as letters, you can see the word love, you can see the word gratitude, and then breathe it out. You're going to start to feel that your body begins to change. And as you breathe in love, gratitude, and gratefulness, now I want you to add feeling to it. Feel the love, the gratitude, the gratefulness, the appreciation, the joy, the happiness, the health, the wealth, well-being. Release it. Body's changing. Bring in love, gratitude, gratefulness, power, strength, health, wealth, well-being. And you release it. Now, everyone that really practices what I just asked them to do, this is an intervention technique. Right now, you changed the biochemical side of your personality. You also went all the way back to consciousness, the wave. So here we reverse engineered, moving back from the body, moving through the brain, moving through a bilocal awareness. We went beyond the chattering mind. We went to a bilocal, to a non-local, and you felt the body literally begin to change. How were you able to feel the body? How were you even able to tap into that body and change it? We literally changed the frequency that you're on. You changed the chemicals that you were releasing. The body's literally being changed right now. Quantum field entanglement. We reverse. This is quantum engineering. We're reversing the field all the way to the quantum level of information. Vacuum space of time.
So much power in this.
So much power. And if you really understand it, we can literally change the biochemistry of our being, of our consciousness, and reality. And we did it in seconds. Now, how often are we not doing this and we're thinking about beliefs? It can't be done. I don't like the way I look in the mirror. I don't like the way my hair is. Or we're judging yourself. That is symmetry. And symmetry is the image you put with breath. So let's go with the breath again, breath of life, and go to gratitude. So now we take the breath with a symbol of symmetry of gratitude and gratefulness, and it changes the biochemical state of our being, right? When you're breathing in and you're thinking about how angry you are, what are you doing? Releasing those cells into the body. When you're breathing in and you're thinking about, oh, how I hate him or I hate her, or you're judging them or him or them or that, you're breathing that life into who?
Yourself.
Into yourself, into your symmetry. When you're judging yourself or judging others, who's resonating with it?
You.
You are. Who's going to attract that?
You are.
Okay, now we're starting to understand creation at its fundamental point.
Yeah.
And also, we're also given an illustration of how creation has always been a part of you. Now, we want to look at God as this ever-present, all-knowing energy that is. Well, it is. but it just knew you right now.
Mm.
It just felt you right now. And you were literally cooperating with it.
Just like how it's right here,
Right here.
all around us.
Telephone was here. The way to fly was here. The way to make the chair was here. The way to go off planet was here. Everything was right in the breath. Never even aware of it. Because without the breath, you can never have a body.
Mm.
You do not breathe. Breath breathes you.
Please explain deeper on that.
We'll be here for hours, but your first breath will also be your last. That's how you came in and that's how you come out.
Yes.
Scientists know the minute you take your last breath, that energy, spirit is gone. The body has no life and power. The brain has no life and power. It is that spiritual spark of breath that gives life and power to that body.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the beginning of the interfacing reality. You enter the face, you enter data, you enter the life. Become aware here and now that you're more than what you are. And be willing to go beyond what you know so that you can cooperate, co-create with God, with creation, with everything that's already been here.
Mm-hmm.
It's all here for us. But we have to choose to go there. Or we can go to the data. And you can create more of that if you want.
Yeah. It's kind of what every single second we're creating all the life around us.
We are always creating. We're either creating from the data or we're creating from a new unified field of which we have to design.
Mm-hmm.
It was always up to us. It was always, what do we want? And that's why I going back to your roots, going back to, who am I? What am I? Why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
What do I want to do on purpose? A lot of people are looking for purpose, but they never do it on purpose. A lot of people want to find their purpose, but they never look for it on purpose. You follow me?
Just a little bit.
So the very first thing, if you want to find your purpose, you've got to look for it. You've got to want to do things on purpose.
Mm.
So one thing I emphasize on, it's not just doing things. I've done that just because I knew I could do it. But then I found out it wasn't my purpose. And I wasn't on purpose.
I've done that many times.
So then going back to thinking, what is it that I want to do on purpose? Am I getting up on purpose in the morning? Am I moving into action? Is it on purpose, with purpose, and purpose to a definite end? Is it going to give me what I desire? Is it going to help others in that desire? Is it on, in, and with purpose to definite ends? If it's not, you're going in the wrong direction.
Mm.
And the chances are the data is using you.
Wow.
And the data will be the purpose. You're going to get more of the data. You're
Yeah.
going to get more results you didn't want.
Okay.
Everybody's going to have to look at this over and over again to think.
Yeah.
If you're not on purpose, if you didn't choose to do what you do on purpose to that definite end, if that's really not the definite end, the outcome you want, the data is a purpose, and the data is taking you where it's going to go. And that's why you're not on purpose.
Yeah.
Now, you can look at the life from that design at every moment, at any moment you're at, and know whether you're going in the right direction or the wrong one.
Okay. So with that being said, I'd love for you to explain to the person watching, because they may know about the law of attraction, the law of visualization, but I would love for you to explain it on how you see that and how powerful that is actually compared to what they may know off of perhaps Bob Proctor or all these, The Secret book, right?
Mm-hmm. I enjoy looking at everyone's different methods of going to source, because that's what we're all doing.
Yes.
I enjoy experiencing other people's minds, because at the end of it, we're all looking for source. We're all looking to go to that divineness, that unity, consciousness. We're all looking. It'd be like taking out a map and everybody taking different angles to go to the center of town. They're all looking to get back to source. And I look at different ways that people have done this so that they're wanting to have a better life, better lifestyle. And where I go with this is that law of vibration, law of attraction would be like looking at the outer ring of a situation, or looking at the outer circumference of a city, right? So attraction is a secondary force. The primary source is vibration.
Mm.
So if we're always looking at the attraction, you miss the vibration. People want a result. They don't want to look for the cause. But the cause is what creates the result that they're looking for. So if I take the aspect of, let's say we want freedom. Freedom is a product of, and a lot of people would think it's money. No, money is not the cause of freedom. Money is a result of freedom. What causes freedom? So is it money? Well, money controls what you experience because you have to pay for everything you experience.
Mm.
But that's still a result. That's not the cause. So that's still an attraction. That's still on the attractive side of vibration. So when you're always looking at the attractive side, you lose sight
Mm-hmm.
because you're looking at the result. Nobody can find the cause. The cause is going to be the service you decide and in the way you decide to serve. And it will always be equal proportion to how you serve. So the service always dictates the result. The way you serve, who you serve, how you serve dictates the amount of money you earn, the amount of experiences you will have, and the reality that you will possess.
Of course.
One is the cause, the other is the effect. Earlier, I said I had decided to go do tires, my first actual job. But before that, I had decided as a young man, I remember deciding to chopping cotton. What did I go experience? I experienced the weeds, cutting weeds around cotton. I experienced the field. I experienced the heat. I experienced getting up at 4 a.m. That was the result. That was my outer ring.
Mm-hmm.
The other outer ring was tires. I always experienced replacing tires or fixing tires. Why? Because that's the result. I had to touch that because I became the tire man. The tire man was a centering effect. The tires were a result of it. A doctor wants to heal people, or he wants to be a surgeon. He uses his mind to download the information to perform surgery. He must attract what? What is his outer ring going to be? Clients that are sick, clients that need heart surgery, brain surgery. That is the result. The outer ring is always the reflection of what the caused you to reflect that. So always look to the cause and the effects. On purpose, with purpose to that definite end. Definite end is the outer ring. What are you going to do on purpose to get to that definite end? So one is the cause, the center of the city. One is the cause. The other one's the outer ring, what you will experience, always. I've been researching this information for years, and I wanted to help myself go beyond what I knew, go beyond my result, go beyond my reflection, go beyond the tire man, go beyond the mechanic, go beyond the drilling rig hand, go beyond the manager. All those were reflections of my harsh desire, which was causing me to experience that. So then I picked different services. Tire man, drilling hand, mechanic. Those are all contributions. Mechanic to management, safety management, to starting my own first company. So if we look at every one of the centering effects, those were all services that I decided to move into. And by the service, I had experienced that outer ring.
Wow.
So if I were to give you something today, how do I acquire freedom, or how do I understand life? Life is always contribution. The effects are what you see from the way you contribute.
Yes.
So my contribution at the time was a tireman. I experienced the tires. I move my energy. Your energy is a contribution. Your spirit is pure divine, and it could experience any result. But at one time, I took the image of a tireman, I experienced the tires. Moved it, mechanic, I experienced tools. Underneath trucks, getting dirty all the time. One's the cause, the other's the effect. So when you look at your life today, right now, with whoever you are, with whatever you have, what is the service? And go look at what you keep experiencing that you have to serve. So I moved to learning this information, developing myself, continue going beyond. Well, by changing myself, learning how to change myself, I also position myself to help people in different spectrums of reality. I've traveled globally helping people. I've helped doctors. I've helped scientists. I've helped attorneys. I've helped people in Senate. I have worked with different people, change their reality to get better results.
Wow.
And it's all mental,
Mm-hmm.
metaphysical. It's not just physical, it's mental, metaphysical. So we're dealing with a quantum space of reality that's unknown to us. But if you can learn how to re-engineer that, you can rearrange anything. That's the key.
Is there any way that you can go a little deeper into the mental, physical, or the metaphysical?
This
Kind of simplify.
simplifying, there's nothing simple.
I know. It's a big ask.
But what we teach,
Mm.
we do this in classes, we do this daily, weekly, and then of course I do it privately as well. But what I teach is people how to work towards a quantum engineer state of consciousness,
Mhm.
because that's the only state where you could actually operate and rewrite reality as you see it, your reality. So I advise anybody that's looking into this, looking into changing their life, find the information that's going to change your life, and then dedicate the rest of your life to doing that.
I love that.
Because you can never look anywhere else, and everything else outside of you is just going to be physical things, and you're going to never find you. You're always going to find something outside of you.
Mhm.
So learning this information at a higher consciousness level, at a divinity level, this is what allows you to have access to more than what we knew.
Okay. Earlier you mentioned services. I would like for you to go deeper into M1, M2, M3.
Okay, sure.
Or the
When
person.
when we go about strategy for earning money,
Mhm.
because again, there's two ways to live. You can either live through nature, or you can live through economical system. If you want to live in nature, you don't have to pay anything for it. You don't need the money. But here you have the law of God, law of spirit, you have the law of whatever religion you have, you don't have it doesn't matter. You have a law that governs you to go beyond what you know. Always forces you to go beyond, because nature, spiritual nature, is always causing the body to go beyond what it knows so that it can prevail. So in nature, you'll be forced to imagine how to bring water upstream.
Mm.
And your body has to move in action. You got to learn that. And then nature will force you to survival, will force you to build a chair. What is it force you? Imagination to quicken, imagination to go beyond itself. And then if you still want to continue in nature, you'll learn to find fire, warmth, your survival needs, water, a home, and it's causing you to imagine and go beyond what you know again.
Yes.
So you still have the law of creation causing you to go beyond what you know. So we all now know that it doesn't matter what religion you believe in. It doesn't matter whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God. There is something that's unseen always causing you to go beyond what you know, so that you can experience more of what you didn't know about yourself.
Mhm.
And to tap into an infinite field to receive more information, to create more of what you need to see yourself outside of yourself. You can never deny that. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
So that's the law working in the law itself, causing you to go beyond yourself. What do you think? Or we can move into society, and now we have money.
Before you continue, I want to say, for the person out there that feels like they're stuck in their job, they hate what they're doing, they don't feel aligned, they feel like they're stuck in the 9-to-5 rat race, or whatever you want to call it, I'd highly suggest that you listen very deeply into this next part, because it might change your life.
Yes, most definitely. M1, M2, M3 strategies. So this covers our money strategies. There's 3 ways to earn money, and the average individual is stuck in M1. And if we're born into a family that had the M1 strategy, the chances are families before that have had M1 strategies. And the majority of society is programmed on the data. They got the data, the data of M1 strategy. Okay, so M1 strategy is time for money. 95 to 97% have the strategy of M1, and it's time for money. So they value production.
Mm.
That means it's their body that's got to go through time to earn money. So that means your body has to travel through an hour to get paid for the hour. It's got to keep going through the hours of the day to get paid for the day. And so then it's got to travel through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday, but it's got to travel through time to earn money. And if it does not trade its time for money, it has no money. So in this strategy, you always run out of time because you only have 24 hours a day. So that eventually you run out of money.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually you get capped. Whether you're on a salary or you're on hourly pay, eventually you get capped and you run out of time. So you receive no more money. Then you're in this loop, consistent loop, and you can't ever get out of it because you have the law backwards. And the law is money is the master and your body is the servant.
Mm.
And this is where I go back to, you coupled backwards. Data first, spirit second. So then if the money is the master, your body is the servant, and so is the soul. Now you following it?
Yes.
And the soul wants to be free. But if your strategy for money was reversed to begin with, you're never going to get out of it. If you go in every job you go and choose, and every job is value production, you're always stuck. M2 is going to be you invest money to earn money. Very few people do that. And if you do squander a little bit away to move into M2, normally you're going to lose it because you're not programmed to do that. Unless you were born in a family that was already investing, knows where to invest, and you're programmed to invest, and you're okay to invest, then you use M2 strategy to earn money. And then there's M3. M3 is going to be value creation. Multiple sources of income. You create products, sales, or services, and that trades its time, and then you earn the money. So M3 strategy, for me, is going to be you create systems, they operate for you, and eventually your time is free. Value creation is your mind is the master, the money is the servant. Spirit first, data second. Money is the result. The way you serve causes the money. So whenever you create products, sales, or services, and that trades its time, you're not limited to time. You could trade 100 people in 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
And you trade their time, and you earn all that money, and you provide a service. You help them have jobs, and you earn the money, and you put it together. But you've got to organize it to that definite end of earning money, the definite end of earning money, serving and earning money, giving valuable service, earning money. So here we have these three strategies for earning money, and where normally 3% are only the only ones that are using this strategy because they're programmed. Normally they're programmed to do it, or you'll have an entrepreneur or somebody that desires to build, and they got to go through the process of learning to get and become that M3, and that's rare.
Yes.
So here, if you find yourself in the M1 strategy, we can teach you how to get out of it, and it's a process. But you're going to have to learn to go against the way you think.
Mm-hmm. And that's the hardest part.
Because you've been ascribed to value production, not creation. And here's the other rule of thumb. They have said this several times. You can take 3% of the wealth. They say 3%, 3 to 5% own everything because they're the ones that are value creators. They're creating products, sales, or services for the masses, which are 95, 97%. Now we have that 95% that they're value production. They're also 95% of the consumers, and they never create.
Yeah.
So now you have that 3 to 5% they create for the 95%, 97%. Well, that's why the wealth are always wealthy and the poor are always poor, because they went to the system of value and production, and they're the consumers of that production. They value the production, and they're the consumers of that production. So in other words, they go to work to create, the value creator creates a system, and they create values, products, services, and then they hire the 95, 97% to create the production that they sell for the production.
And here's the twist. Tell everybody, if the 3% were to give all their money to the 97%, what would happen?
They say in about 6 to 8 months, all the money and wealth will go back to the 3%.
It's incredible.
Because that's what they're programmed to do.
Yeah.
And the other ones are programmed to consume. So they'll eventually spend all the money, and it goes back to that 3 to 5%.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not writing this up. I want everybody to research it.
Of course.
And I love people to really go and look at what I'm saying and go research it for yourselves. And the more, again, once you know, you're no longer a victim.
Exactly. I love
You're
that.
going to take responsibility,
Yeah,
or you're going to be an accomplice.
of course. Okay, Ms. Carranza, moving forward, I would love for you to tell everybody the story of I Am Mastermind, the story behind it, and why you're doing it, and what your vision looks like for I Am Mastermind.
Uh, this the story behind it goes back to the young man that was 2 years 7 months, and it always goes back to that awareness, looking down and saying I'm in a little body. That very moment, whenever I was aware, consciously aware, I had asked. I don't want to go into all of the details. It's a long story, but I had asked the man that was in front of me, called Father. I told him there should be an organization for people like me, or as they become more aware, that's here for consciousness when it arrives, for spirit when it arrives. Help them remember who they are, why they're here, and what they're here to do. I knew coming in that we you could say we as we reduce, we become programmed. I knew that there was a virus code. I knew that I am losing information, and I know that I had abilities, and there should be an organization working for humanity, working for spirit in humanity, to allow them to become more of what they were really divinely here to do, and help them with their abilities, and help them remember who they are. And it was back in 2010 now, all these years of researching old symbols, researching memories, researching artifacts, researching scriptures, small words, my writings, and remembering everything I researched was what I remember. And it was in 2010, it took me back to that little child. And it took me to the very first question I asked was, there should be an organization here for spirit when it arrives to help them remember. And it said that's what I was here to be a part of. And that's what I was here to do.
Wow.
And it also showed me what businesses to start, to build, and to work towards doing. And then the research that I need to continue doing, and more specifically. So then for the last several years, 10 years, 15, 14 years, I've been doing the research, building the companies, doing the work. I had no education in business. I never had a company. And everything I learned through my imagination and through the law of vibration and learning to attract correctly. And so it's been a process of learning and unlearning.
You're a living embodiment of everything you teach.
Completely.
Wow.
I started from zero, started out in my garage. But what the point I'm getting at is that vision is what's led me to where I'm at today, and it's going to lead the rest of the future. And I know that we're here and we're meant for more. And also, when we have this awareness, it is our responsibility to work together and to help others develop themselves and go beyond what they know, but also leaving something back for consciousness. Every millisecond, consciousness is arriving and it's leaving. Every second. Every second a child is born and a life is gone. We grow in old age and we're off to another place. But the thing is who's truly working for consciousness and helping them truly understand who they are, and also to deprogram, because we're being programmed. And once you're programmed, it's really hard to get out of those programs, out of those belief systems. There needs to be an organization that's doing that. And so our goal, my goal, the vision is to open institutes globally. I'm working towards the next year and a half to go in full on and doing that. And finding others that want to be a part of this and helping people develop themselves and really giving the people the opportunity, as well as people that have already been programmed. What is our education system from zero? How are we educating parents that are having children, or people that are their children are coming in? Because we are literally programming them, whether we're aware of it or not. It's happening. And where's the responsibility in the education system that should truly know psychology, belief, and behavior? Where is the responsibility in teaching this information? Because it should be in every book. It should be in every literature. This information, I can go back and I can find it in different places. But it needs to be everywhere. It needs to be known. And thankfully for the internet, and thankfully for the way we're evolving, AI's even evolution of bringing back information and articulating it opens up the variabilities that this information will have to be exposed. And it'll have to be exposed to everyone. And it should be in every curriculum. Because this is how we can further go beyond and achieve the reality we have a society that's truly working for society. Working for humanity.
Of course.
The society should be working for society. We're normally just band-aiding problems around. Society for years has just been band-aiding a problem. Put it under the rugs. It's time to grow up and own what we've done, and then take responsibility and encourage that responsibility to be taken in affirmative action globally. If we truly knew who we were, we wouldn't be putting barriers across each other. If we truly knew what we were, we would be putting in a logistical system that actually educates people and gets them the opportunities to comprehend who they are, what they are. If we're all spiritual beings, we're not a color, we're not a race, we're not dividedness. If we're spiritual beings, we're experiencing physical realities, and we would work towards helping prosperity, growth, happiness, health, well-being in every nation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we need to move to.
The world would be a way different place.
It would be a different place. And it's time. We either create or disintegrate.
I like that saying.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Carranza, what's one thing that you can tell the viewer watching, one piece of advice that you want them to carry on after they watch this video?
Watch it again.
You heard him.
Watch it 100 times.
Yeah.
Till something changes in you. When you could take a different action, that means you're going beyond what you know. And if you cannot take a different action, it's the data speaking, not you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Ms. Carranza. I really appreciate your time. And everyone, if you don't know already, I Am Masterminds, can you want to tell the audience about your classes?
Yes, I Am Mastermind Institute of the Mind, and you heard the goal, the vision, and we have classes that we do daily, weekly, programs that we have 3 months, 6 months, 1-year programs that we teach, and we do that at a global level, so you guys are able to get on Zoom, or if you're in the area, come locally. And I'm looking for people that want to also learn this information to teach it as well, and that's how we can keep growing and we touch more people and help more people.
Of course.
It's the way we can continue to give back as well.
100%. Well, thank you so much everyone for tuning into the Portal Podcast. Looking forward to the next episode, and rewatch the video.
Thank you, Rafael. Thank you for the Portal Podcast and your vision and your desire and taking the actions and doing what you should be doing.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Yes,
Carranza.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.